Welcome to the Remarketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast that has two purposes. Purpose number one, Kendra, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. Purpose number two, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. With that, we have a very special guest, Kendra Crowe. Kendra is a direct response marketing strategist and Amazon bestselling author who is passionate about helping others overcome their fears and become the best version of themselves. She started on the journey of endurance over 29 years ago. This journey was led by her son, who was diagnosed with a severe illness, and through endurance, she was able to accomplish her desire to be present for her family. She believes you can truly have it all. It's called the and world. Her ability to pivot and endure through the trials and tribulations that life threw at her not only allowed her to become a successful entrepreneur, but also opened up the opportunity to be coached by some of the best marketing leaders in the world, such as Russell Brunson, Russ Whitney, Tony Robbins, Akbar Sheikh, and Dan Kennedy. A Mound Bayou native, Kendra is a mother of two and currently lives in Belleville, Illinois, with her husband and two dogs. Kendra, I'm excited that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome.
having me. Super
Absolutely.
excited.
I'm excited too. So Kendra, how about you do this? How about you tell us a little bit of, we heard it in your story. Tell us a little bit about how you got here in your own words.
Well, I first have to start by saying that being single, raising two kids, at that particular time in my life, I truly wanted to make an income. And I had a friend to reach out to me, and he was from Atlanta, and he introduced me to a company called Excel Communication, which I didn't know anything about being able to make extra income. And that was the goal. And just from that introduction led me down a rabbit hole of being able to work alongside of one of the thought out leaders in the network marketing industry, becoming his executive assistant for over 12 years, and the ups and downs and the valleys of just being in that industry until I finally figured out you just truly need a system, and you need to find a way to really to market and to bring yourself in a system. And so that led me here to so many different events and training and coaching sessions that I've been able to be a part of. It led me to become a number one best-selling author on Amazon on that journey.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Kendra. And so one of the things that I like to geek out about, and we're like pretty close, so you already know, but the audience may or may not know. There may be some new listeners. One of the things I like to geek out about is marketing. But one of the things that I've developed in my corporate career, I guess per se, was like systems. So can you tell us a little bit about what you mean by having talk about the importance of marketing and then talk about the importance of a system?
I think that everyone believes that when they open up their business, everyone wants their product and service. And that's not true. And so one of the things that we learned early on, in order for you to not have the ebbs and flows of your business and have a consistent income, because you have bills that are going to be consistent, right? The ultimate goal is to create a system and leverage a system so that you can know, you can predict your income. And so that's why we built a system in addition to having a business, but we also offered a service. We had a business dealing with marketing and branding, generating leads, converting those leads into sales. And we truly understood how to do that in that particular industry.
Thank you for sharing that. You talked about, so could you help us understand what you mean by system, like in the simplest terms possible? People like system, oh my God, that sounds complicated. What is a system to you?
Here is it's so simple. Think about it's like having a website. But this particular website does one or two things. It's going to capture information, and you're going to sell products. Those are the only two things that this website will do, because it's kind of like a website. So it's almost is like a huge page, and that particular page going to do one or two things. It's going to capture information so you can follow with them later, or and because I believe in the and world, as you're capturing that information, you're offering your product to a particular niche of people.
Okay. And so you talked about and. Could you tell us what you mean about that and world? And then after that, I want to learn more about what you mean by niche. So what's the and world?
I truly believe you can have it all, Jerome. I believe that you can have a balanced life. I believe you can have a balanced marriage. I believe that you can have balanced relationships. And I truly do believe that you can have a business that's truly predictable and scalable. So that's the and world that I live in.
Okay. So niche, what does that mean? That's complicated. Some people say niche, some people say avatar, some people say audience. Tell us what a niche is from your perspective.
Here's what a niche is. And it's kind of like this. You like shoes, or maybe you like purses, or maybe you like suits, or just maybe you like dogs. Those are different groups of people that's liking a different thing. And all I'm looking to do is to like a particular different like a particular thing that they're interested in, and that's how I create a connection. So if you were all about suits and I love suits, we have a commonality, we have a common interest. So it's almost like, what is an interest that you are fond of, finding that interest and connecting with people on a deeper level, because now you have a door opener, which you can actually have a conversation because you guys have something in common. So that's all a niche is. Trying to make it really simple, it's almost an interest, and that interest gives you the ability to open up the door to have a conversation.
Thank you for sharing that. You have I guess I'm just learning this word or how to use the phrase, but so framework, or maybe as a better way to say it is like you have a philosophy around 21 niches. Could you talk a little bit about that, like what and why you picked them, how you came up with that, and what it means?
We did a ton of research, and we know that inside of the niche world, we're wanting niches that are as if they're irrationally passionate. So they would wear it on a t-shirt, right? Or they would actually share a post, or maybe they would share something on their Instagram that actually saw from your particular site, because we understand the 21 hottest niches. And so we did a little research and we came up with 21 that is extremely hot, extremely people are irrationally passionate about. They would wear it on a t-shirt. And I'm going to give you one quick example, Jerome. Fit over 50. And because that's me, right? I mean, fit over 50.
That's right.
Fit over 50, baby. And so what is that? That's in the niche of health and wellness, because I want to be fit over 50. So could I create an audience right there? Let's say using one of the tools as being Facebook, you could. And who are you going to draw? Everyone that's over the age of 50. And you give them value. And they're going to share that value. What? Why? Because I'm 50 and I'm interested. That's how easy it is.
Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned, like you mentioned the fit in 50, and from my understanding, the fit in 50 is it's a sub niche underneath a micro niche, right? So you got the three, I guess macro niches or macro markets we can call them, and I know you know, and I want to hear you tell our audience what they are.
Well, here's what I believe in. When you look at the macro and the micro, my ultimate goal is you truly do need to niche down. And if you're going to niche down instead of being completely broad, you're going to use those 21 niches that are actually there. And I know over and over again, if I put something in that particular niche, because I've niched down, that I'm going to get the response that I'm looking for.
How can we find out more about the 21 niches that you have?
Well, what I'm going to do for your listeners that's on your email list for you, I'm going to share a cheat sheet that I'm going to email it to you, and you can share it with your list.
Okay. And Of those 21 niches that you have, do you have like a favorite? Do you have some that stand out to you? Can you share a little bit about that?
Let me tell you which one is my total favorite of all time. If you look at all 21 niches, right? I think my favorite would be the dog niche because a little backstory is that, I didn't grow up with dogs and I really wasn't interested in dogs, and my husband loved dogs, right? And I didn't understand the power of pit bulls. So to see cute pit bulls on Facebook that people want to share, I think that has been the cutest one because now my heart is melting for animals, right? So I would say pit bulls would be a favorite that I've seen that have done extremely well.
Okay, and so you also one that I like when we first met that I saw you like addressing was the US. Does that count? Like
Oh
how you
yes.
on that page?
Well,
Can you
that's my
tell us about
baby.
that a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
can you tell us
that's the
about that?
baby. I can. That's the baby. That particular community or audience that was built based on my mentor told me not to do it. And sometimes you do what your mentor told you not to do. And I did it. And he just felt that being in the military niche was not a niche on the 21 hottest niches that he was referring that I was coached and trained to use. And so I built an audience over 300,000 raving fans. And it's called I Love the US Army. You can go search it on Facebook. And for all of your audience that's actually here, I want you to think about your own niche. And if you're in the real estate industry, you do need to say addicted to luxury homes, and create that particular page just simply off of beautiful 7-figure homes or 8-figure homes, and watch how people are going to share those particular images on Facebook. So yes, the I Love the US Army page, it was built over the last 3-4 years, now 5 years now, and it's still growing, and I don't have to do anything with it because it's organically growing. And when I want to get more leads coming in, I just run an ad, a Facebook ad. It's just that simple.
Thank you. So you talk about like yeah, you just go out and you do the luxury home thing like it's so easy. You make it seem like it's so easy. Is it that easy, or like can you help us? Can we get some guidance from you or something like that? Because I know that it's not going to be easy. I know you got some skills and you applied those skills, and that's how you grew that page. Talk about that.
We believe in reverse engineering,
Okay.
right? There are certain posts that that have proven tried and tried again. And so luxury homes, just go Google luxury homes on Facebook, Google luxury homes, or search on Facebook, Google luxury homes on Google. You can go to Instagram. And what I do, I gather all of this content for the ones that went viral because I'm looking for something that got 800, 700 likes, right? And now I go into Canva. So that's the first search. The second simple step is to go into Canva and make it your own. Third step, because we're all about using systems, right? I auto populate for 30 days. So once I touch that, I'm going to have at least 4 posts going up for 30 days. So you're going to have a ton of images that you can actually use and make them your own and turn them over to your VA. Remember, Jerome, it is just that simple.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I want to move on to some of the questions so we can get some more out of you. So one of the first questions, we got like several sections, and the first section is like business and industry expertise. So the first question I have for you, Kendra, tell us about the most important lesson that you've learned over your career.
It's relationships. The
And
most
could you expound upon that? What does that mean? People say it, oh, relationships. What does that mean? Like from your perspective?
From my perspective, I always use this analogy. I think that you're able to get this out of How to Win Friends and Influence People. And they talk about the 4 types of friends. And the 4 types of friends is just acquaintances, right? You got acquaintances, you got friends, you got close friends, you got intimate friends. So over my whole entire journey, I've learned to not put everyone in the same bucket because you got friends, But I've learned to separate those four buckets that don't create a lot of hardship for me, because I know that I'm going to invest in my close and intimate friends. My intimate friends truly going to show up and they want me to succeed. And I know to spend time with them. I know to invite them. I know to show up on certain things for them. And even if it's not to my benefit, I want to support my friends. So over time, I understand the power of giving value when there's nothing in return, because the power of that relationship is built off of reciprocating. You're sowing and you're seeding. So for me, over time, I've understood how to put people in four buckets. And the biggest thing that I can say is invest in those relationships.
Thank you, Kendra. So the next question is, tell us, you mentioned like several mentors. So next question is, who's been your most important professional mentor?
Probably never heard of it. I'm sure in your industry you all have Russ Whitney.
I have. I don't know who that is though. So could you?
Let me just share very quickly a quick story. I was sitting in the back of the room at a Rehignity event, and he was one of the guest speakers. And he started to really to talk about ecclesiastic and everything being nothing and meaningless in your life. And I think that we get so hung up on things that have happened, people that have happened, situation that have happened, stories that have happened, that we get so glued and tied to those things. But if you go back into the Bible, because he's almost like a history scholar, and he talked about that. And he talked about ecclesiastics being everything is nothing and meaningless. And I think the biggest aha moment was sitting in the back of the room, and truly everything is nothing and meaningless. And that your kids chose you as a parent. And that was the biggest epiphany, because as you read in my intro about my son, and over the last, 90 days of Adrian just recently passed. And Adrian chose me as his mother. And so those was like some big aha moments that now I don't feel down about it. Now that I feel privileged to be called a mom or even a dad, if you're watching this, because your kids chose you. And truly everything else is nothing and meaningless. So Jerome, out of all of those mentors, that was the major shift in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you shared that because sometimes you have moments, right? Sometimes people think they see us and they're like, oh my God, that person's so amazing. I wish I could be amazing. And I mention that because like sometimes I have doubts. Sometimes I'm like, am I doing the best I can as a parent? And you just have those insecurities. And just to hear you say like the kids chose you as a parent and they learn like whatever lessons they learn is very inspiring. So I appreciate you sharing that. With that, you mentioned that one, and I looked him up. I can see, he's got some stuff in real estate. Can you tell us about two more like mentors that were pivotal to you and your career?
I'm going to say Cedric Harris. Cedric Harris took a
Okay.
chance on me. And I've worked along Cedric, I think I said 12 years. It possibly could be 14 years. So I would have to go back and do the math. He took a chance on me, and I met him at an event. And I want you to think about this. Everything that I've said has been centered around an event. So if your audience is listening right now, the number one thing I would say, get out of your comfort zone, get away from behind the computer and go to events. And I met him, and I walked up to him, a little young lady, said, hey, I want to work for you. He already had an assistant. He was looking at me. I said that I will work for you, and you would never be able to get rid of me. 12, 13 years ago, right? Fast forward today, he went through two assistants. One day my phone rang and said, hey, are you still interested in becoming my assistant? And I said, yes. And that door opened up for me. I've been to all of the ClickFunnels Live, I think, except one or two, simply because I worked alongside of him as being his executive assistant. And so for him taking a chance on me, from him allowing me to open up his family, his world, and how he does business, how he does contracts, and all of those things, and building teams to over 444,000 people in multiple countries, to watch that behind the scene, to build systems behind the scenes. I was able to get all of that simply because I went to an event. And so he's been extremely important. He's still important today because I still do business with him today. And the last person that I truly want to talk about that is made a pivotal role for me is Akbar. And Akbar introduced me to VSL, which I didn't even know what a VSL was. And that's a video sales letter. And then I did not understand how important it is to really to craft your story. And so he opened up the door to Dan Kennedy's world simply because you truly have to craft your story. You truly have to hit the nail on the head when it comes down to that customer avatar. And when you look in the camera, it's almost as if you're talking to one person. So those three guys has made a significant impact on my life until where I am today, Amazon best-selling author.
Thank you for sharing that. So I'm catching you off guard a little bit, and usually I only do one person, but you were speaking and you were like those three guys. So I want to beat this question one more time. Are there any women that you could attribute some of your success to? Like who would you mention?
I would say kind of interesting. I would say Oprah.
Oprah.
Oprah Winfrey, let me tell you why. Oprah got in front of a camera, didn't matter what she looked like. Sometimes she was small, sometimes she was big, but she was able to capture an audience of women. And she knew exactly what she wanted. And even when people slammed the door in her face, because she's actually on my dream board, so I can look over and look at Oprah on my dream board. And so one of the things that I can say about what she's been able to do is that she had a mentor, and Maya Angelou was her mentor. And so just by understanding you truly need a mentor, and I looked for Oprah, and I have yet to meet Oprah, so I'm waiting for that day to come, and I'll come back on your show and tell you about it. So it would be Oprah Winfrey. So when everyone slammed the door in her face, she kept going, and now where she owns a network, Oprah.
Thank you. I never knew that she had ties to like Maya Angelou, but I never researched either. So that's something that I learned today. I appreciate you sharing that. We're gonna move on, jump to the next question. The next question I have for you. Tell us about an indispensable tool for your expertise. Like an example.
I, I think the most valuable tool that I can actually give is automation.
Automation.
And for anyone that's watching, your ultimate goal, if you want to create consistency, you don't want to post every day. And you want to post certain times a day. And you want to go in and get the post done in 30 minutes, right? For 30 minutes for 30 days and walk away from it because we're all so super busy. And so FP traffic has been an amazing tool that I've actually used. It does have some analytics on the back end of it, but if you just want to get the ability to, let's say, post, be it Facebook, be it Instagram, so you can connect your social media sites to that and just auto post. Get that piece out of your hands and just go auto post.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things that we like a lot of times was teaching my students, they're like, oh, should I post every day? How often should I post? And I'm like, post often as you need to post, but the way you do it is you like batch it, right? So you don't do it every day. You do as much as you can in one day, and then you schedule them all. So
That's right. That's
yeah, I
right.
appreciate you sharing that. We're gonna move on to some of the personal questions. So we do business, we do personal, then we jump to what I like to call the closing table, because in real estate we have this thing called the closing table. And then we got like some bonus questions. So personal questions, we want to learn about Kendra. What do people misunderstand about you most?
They misunderstand when they look at this book, right? They see a pretty face. Endurance. It's being able to understand that even if you fall, you get back up again. I think that because of all of my success, they think that I haven't failed. I think that they judge people by the current success that they're having rather than all of the failures that they had prior to leading them to this point. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in some businesses. I mean, there's a trail of businesses behind me. And I'm so grateful that I did that. I felt every time that it was able to get me to where I am today. And so as you're looking and you're watching this particular episode, understand one thing. You got to keep trying and failing, trying and failing, trying and failing. And what did you learn from it? Trying and failing. So I think that they overlook the success where I am today and where I was, let's say, 10 years ago.
Can you tell us a little bit about that book, please?
Oh my God. This book what has been on my heart. It's been on my heart, and I would have to say, being inside of one of my private mastermind, it was that, just go ahead and complete it, because there's another book that I'm working on currently, and this particular book I wanted to just share. 7 secrets to overcome any obstacle. I truly wanted to give back from every experience that I've gone through, and to give someone an opportunity to say, she understands how I feel, and then give you a space to journal. So it's a 2-part book. You're going to journal, you're going to read a chapter, there's a thought-provoking question, then you're going to journal. Why would you journal? Because you want to leave something behind. You want to leave a blueprint behind for your kids, your sister or your brother, or let's say your business partner, someone is going to come behind you, because now they truly understand your way of thinking. So I just pulled out 7 secrets that I've been able to use and master over these last 29 years. And I wanted to share them. That's how the book came about.
Thank you. So we're like we've run in some of the same crowds. So you have that book, and you also like you're working on like a book funnel. And one of the things that I try to get my audience and my students to understand is the importance of a book. So can you share your insights on that? Like it's like, why would I write a book? I can just like create social media posts or do direct mail. Like help us understand the importance of having that book.
Because Jerome told you to. For your students, if he says do it, then do it, right? I mean, it's going to make your life so easy. Why was it important to me? Once you write your first book, it gives you instant authority. Instant. It's going to give you free publicity if you use it. I mean, you can call all of the local station, and when they need a story, you say, hey, I wrote a book. It's Amazon bestseller, or hey, I just wrote a book, and you give them the title, you give them your press kit, and let them interview you on your book. But what the book actually does, along with giving you the ability to have instant authority, for the people that are not aware, it's 3 groups of people. They're not aware, people are aware, and there's people that are looking. Your goal is to put something in someone's hands that's not aware, that eventually will be aware, and then now they're looking, and they have the book to reach out to you so you could solve their problems. That book is a massive game changer.
Thank you. Can you tell us, you're writing another book? Can you tell us about that one?
That particular book I am so excited about. I think that this particular book is my lead magnet. And why this book is important to me is because,
Tell us what a lead magnet is.
okay, at the bottom of your value ladder, and I'm sure you're familiar with the value ladder, the
Or not.
first, okay, let's think about stairs.
Okay.
The first step in the stairs, because you got a staircase. In order for you to go up the stairs, you have to take the first step. The first step is a lead magnet, because all you're wanting for people to do is to continue to buy from you. If they buy one time, you want them to buy again and again and again. It is your duty and your obligation to have other products for your customer to purchase. So a lead magnet, all you want them to do is to give you one. You're going to give them something. You're going to exchange something. So it's a relationship. They're going to give you something, and you're going to give them something. They're going to give you their email address, and you're going to give them something. For me, I'm going to give them my book, and all they have to do is pay for shipping. It's just that easy. So
Thank you.
so hopefully that made it very easy when it comes down to what a lead magnet is, what a value ladder is. You want people always going up your value ladder, and it's your duty and it's your obligation to have multiple products. So that's lead me to my second book,
Which is?
which I am super excited. In a matter of days, this book would actually be launched. And when I think about this particular book, that's my lead magnet. So that particular book is, when you think about what are the top income earners doing, what are the top income, what are they using? I created a book around what the top income earners are using because I work with one for over 14 years. So, with that being said, it's the 5 secrets, the top 1%. Think about it. The 5 secrets the top 1% are using. Would you want
How,
that book, Jerome?
of course. And I was going to ask you, how can we get that? I'm you already going to give me a copy, right? But
Of
how can other
course.
people get that book?
Of course. So here's where we are. Email Jerome. Will get you on my mailing list. Once the book is actually launched, I'll email you and I'll make sure that I have you a part of our pre-sale. And all a pre-sale is that you get a signed copy of the book as well. And so all you're gonna have to do is say, "Hey, Jerome, I would like to have a copy of Kendra's book." And once he get that email from you, I'll make sure that his audience get the link, and you'll be the first to sign up for that particular email list as well,
Thank you.
right
So
here on the
next
show.
next question. What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from that experience?
I think here's my biggest failure. I didn't stay with building systems. I understood a system like 13 years ago. I strayed away from it because of the shiny object syndrome. So if I would have stayed inside of the system, and again, the system is your lead magnet, right? The system is allowing people to build your list, creating a system that you can actually leverage, right? The most biggest important two things that we ask all the time is your KPI and how many people join my email list. Those are the two things that we normally ask ourselves all the time. And so for me, the biggest mistake I made was the shiny object syndrome, Jerome, and I learned, and I paid massively for that. So I'm truly back to building systems.
Thank you. So we're gonna move on to the bonus, the bonus questions, and then we can go to the closing question. So first bonus question I have for you: how can someone add immediate value to you or your business?
How can someone else add it, or how can I add it?
How can someone else add immediate value to you or your business?
It's for me to add immediate value,
No,
partnership.
for them to add immediate value to you.
Oh, so to me,
Yes.
beautiful. All we're gonna have to do is reach out to me and let's partner on a project. If you
Okay.
have a book, if you have a book or if you have a course, let's partner on that. Let's definitely connect, and I would love to share that with my audience. So if you feel as if that you have a product that you can serve right now, currently to that particular niche of veterans, I would love to create an email or even a couple of posts to help promote your product. So
S-
reach
s-
out to me, sure.
Next question is very similar. How can someone add long-term value to you or your business?
Long-term value. It's through creating events. That's where I see partner with creating events, because everything that I've shared with you all the way up to us being at this particular point, it was about events, getting people, getting butts in the seats, and annually doing these events to create the community, to create the culture, so that people can ascend up your value ladder. So it would be partnering and creating events.
Thank you. So, closing table now. These questions are meant to close us out. The first question there: what's one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you have answered?
Here's a one question. How did you come across Dan Kennedy?
So, let me ask you: how did you come across Dan Kennedy? First, tell us who Dan Kennedy is. Like, we know who that is, but tell us who that is, and then tell us how you came across him.
Dan Kennedy is the GOAT. Direct response marketing, copywriting, building marketing systems. He's one of the sought after people, which he's in retirement now, and he only worked with Russell Brunson. So you can only connect with him through his company, Russell Brunson's company called Magnetic Marketing. I think it's not Magnetic Marketing. Google Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson, and I promise you, you're going to find that funnel. And how I was able to come across him, Jerome, I had a mentor that says, everyone learns from Dan Kennedy. Everyone, I've purchased a course. And over the span of me purchasing courses, I've spent probably over $150,000 in different courses. And my mentor said, everyone learns from Dan Kennedy. Go learn from Dan Kennedy if he's offering anything. And the only thing I could do was go buy his books. So I got like a ton of Dan Kennedy's books. And at that very moment, Russell Brunson launched a course. And when he launched the course, I ended up jumping on that inner circle because it just made sense. I wanted to learn from Dan Kennedy. So I get to learn from Dan Kennedy once a month on our diamond call.
Why would you, if he has books and courses, why would you join the inner circle?
Let me tell you, because it's, how can I say this? It's actually presented in a different way. And I want everyone that's listening, I don't care what product you have, product and services you have, you're going to have to present it in a different way. Even though Dan has the same framework. So you go from the book to being able to connect with some major people that are on the same path. And that's how I was able to meet you. So he has his books, but he presented his training and teaching in a different way through coaching. So there lines in the trail. You have your book, you have coaching, and then you get to meet amazing rock stars like yourself inside of the inner circle. And so that's why, and that's how I was able to stumble upon Dan Kennedy and you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. The next question, where can listeners find out more about you online?
Currently, the beautiful thing I love about Facebook, it's Kendra L. Crowe on Facebook. You can reach out to me actually there. On Instagram, you can reach out to me, Kendra Phipps Crowe on Instagram. But most importantly, I would definitely say go to Facebook, inbox me, and all you have to, here's a clue. Here's a big word said that I saw you on Jerome's podcast, and I promise you get the freebies that I promised right here on today.
Thank you, Kendra. So the way, like, a lot of people close out their podcast with like a full closing statement, I like to shut it down, and I like to tell our guests to give us one word. You can only pick one word, no explanation, no description. What would that word be?
Responsibility.
Responsibility. Now tell us why you pick responsibility.
It's your duty and it's your responsibility to take your business to the next level. It's no one else's responsibility. Take responsibility.
Thank you. And I just want to expand on that because we understand why it's our responsibility. So, but could you tell our audience why it's our responsibility? Because it's not just for us to prosper, right? Like we have, tell me about why you're talking about that responsibility to take our business to the next level.
The reason being is because you were created to affect people's lives, not just your own. And if you think that it is about you, nothing has ever been about us. It's about us jumping on here, sharing our lives and our insights and our secrets and how we were able to get over for you so that you can take some form of an inspiration, just a glimpse of what I've just said and applied in your life, because there's a group of people that will not get the message from Jerome. They would not get the message from me, but they would get the message from you. So you're going to have to be that guiding light. That's why, Jerome.
Thank you, Kendra. So that was our final session, and I want you to stay on when we close down. But again, Kendra, thank you so much for doing this. Wasn't so bad, right?
Wasn't so bad.
Easy. So you're gonna stay on, and we're gonna close this down, and we're gonna talk about the next time you come back. All right?
For sure.
All right.